when the world is in crisis. And people are looking for hope and answers. Thai PBS World is there with you with the best minds of the day. Join us on Thai PBS World tonight, every weekdays at 7 p.m. Thai PBS World, we bring Thailand to the world.
สวัสดีค่ะ Very good evening and welcome to our 7 o'clock news Thai PBS World Tonight. I am Natha Gomondwadin.
And good evening, I'm Thep Chai Yong. And as we are talking tonight, legislators taking part in the joint sitting of the House of Representatives and the Senate are being locked in a heated debate. At this very moment, they are trying to decide whether or not they will go ahead with a vote on the 6 motions seeking constitutional amendments tonight or not. Because if everything had gone according to plans, they should be voting by now. But then something unexpected happened when one of the government MPs, Kun Phaiboon Nittittawan of Palang Pracharat Party, proposed that we don't vote tonight, and that instead we will set up a House committee making up of representatives from the Senate, from the House of Representatives, and both opposition and government parties to study the 6 motions for 1 month before bringing them back to the parliament for another debate and for a vote. So this is certainly angered the opposition MPs who stood up to voice objection to the proposal.
Yeah, so that could be another twist and turn in the parliament in order to push forward with the amending of the constitution. But if the vote really happened, and according to the proposal by Kun Phaiboon Nittittawan, so it's highly likely that they will win the vote because they have support from lawmakers and from senators as well. And what's going on inside the parliament is also between the protests outside the parliament as well, that we could see how people are gathering outside the parliament.
So now 2 options for the parliament to decide. If they go according to the original plans, after 2 days of heated debate on the 6 motions, they will vote on these motions tonight. The voting process will be quite time consuming because all the 750 members of both houses will have to vote on the 6 motions individually. So it has been estimated that the whole process would take about 5 hours, and that should be finishing by around midnight. And then the other option, as proposed by MP Phaiboon Nittittawan, is the House will set up a joint House committee comprising representatives from the government and opposition parties and the Senate to study the 6 motions, taking about a month to do so before deciding on the motions again in 1 month's time, because the House will go into recess starting tomorrow.
Yes.
And the next session will not begin until early in November. So this is the issue. They are locked in heated debate right now.
So if that really happens, so it means that it will disappoint protesters outside the parliament because they are gathering right now in order to push forward for the motion inside the parliament to go forward with amending constitution. And the reason that Kun Phaiboon stood up and proposed to have this special committee because he said senators would like to study more of the amending of the constitution.
And his argument is that many senators did not receive copies of the motions until a week ago. So he said the time was not sufficient enough for them to really understand the essence of the motions. And his proposal was supported by Kun Somchai Sawainghan, a senator, who also raised a similar argument that senators were not given enough time to study the motions. Of course, the opposition MPs are seeing this as a delaying tactic on the part of the government, and this certainly will not make the protesters outside the parliament happy.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because Kun Sathit Wong Nong Tey, MP from Democrat Party, said actually tonight would be a turning point in order to push forward of the amending constitution, and that will turn the page of the political situation in Thailand. But if they decide to set up this special committee, that would be another twist and turn as well, Kun Thepchai.
Definitely. It will be certainly another sort of a development that would fuel the already tense situation with protesters facing the government. But whatever the outcome of tonight's argument, the debate itself, the debate on the sixth motion seeking constitutional amendment itself, is seen as the most important exercise of the legislative branch since the election last year. And its outcome, one way or another, certainly carries far-reaching ramifications. If the motions are passed, in the eyes of many politicians and academics, they could pave the way for major political changes down the road. But on the other hand, if all the motions are shut down, the months-long anti-government protests are most likely to intensify. So, as the legislators are locked in a heated debate at the moment, hundreds of anti-government protesters are still rallying outside the parliament. Many of them belong to the same group of people who staged a mass rally at Sanam Luang last week to demand a new constitution and other political changes. Our news team at the scene reported that the rally has been peaceful so far, and of course it is considered to be the biggest political rally at the new location of the parliament in Kiat Gai area. And in a few minutes' time, we will be talking to our reporter on the scenes. And the heated debate that is going on right now follows 2 full days of heated debate on the 6 motions put before the joint sitting of the House of Representatives and the Senate. Opposition MPs supporting the motions who took the floor were unison in trying to portray the current constitution as a source of the ongoing political conflicts. Many of them appealed to senators to help push through the motions, warning that failure to do so would escalate the conflicts into a full-blown crisis. Senators hold the key to any constitutional amendment, and without their consent, there is little chance that the constitution can be amended.
And the 2 main motions proposed separately by government and opposition parties seeks to amend Article 256 of the Constitution. The article is seen as the biggest hurdle to constitutional amendments. The article specifies that any amendment to the Constitution requires support of at least 1/3 of the Senate. In the third and final reading, a simple majority of both the House of Representatives and the Senate is needed for a constitutional amendment to be passed.
So that shows that the role of the Senate is very crucial.
Yes.
So during the debate the past 2 days, some MPs tried to make polite appeal to the senators to support the motions. But then on the other hand, there were some MPs who were up against the Senate and used very strong language against the senators. And the question is, if you were so harsh with these people, so how do you expect to get their support?
Yeah. Amending the article would pave the way for the setting up of so-called People's Constitution Drafting Assembly, which both motions favor. The idea is to have a body representing people from various walks of life to write a new constitution. But the 2 motions differ on the structure of the proposed assembly. The motion sponsored by the government parties wants the assembly to comprise 200 members, 150 of them to come from direct election, 20 to be selected by parliament, another 20 by university rectors. The other 10 will come from university and high school students. The government party said by having students involved in the process, it would be the first time that representatives of the young generation have a say in designing the country's most important law. As we have seen, university and high school students have been active in recent months in demanding political changes, while also advocating a brand new constitution. the opposition bloc wants all the 200 members of the constitution drafting body to come from direct election. The opposition insists that only a direct election can ensure that the people will be truly represented in the constitution writing process.
And the idea of a people's constitution drafting assembly, as proposed by both the government and opposition parties, mirrors a similar body set up to draft the 1997 constitution. And the constitution that the assembly gave birth to in that year came to be recognized as the most democratic constitution that Thailand has ever had. And so many people are praying that there will be a repeat of that constitution.
Yeah. It seems every stakeholder are on the same page when they're thinking of the best constitution that Thailand ever had.
No, but one reservation among many senators is that by having a people's constitution drafting assembly, it means that it will be sort of like opening a Pandora's box. So that means that nobody will have control on what the contents of the constitution will be, because nobody knows who these drafters will be, right? But of course, I mean, people are hoping for a process of drafting that would be transparent and truly represent the will of people from various walks of life.
Yeah.
Now, besides the two main motions that we have just mentioned, there are another 4 motions submitted separately by the opposition parties and which address other specific sections and articles of the current constitution. The motions focus largely on the role and powers of the Senate. They, among other things, call for the abrogation of Article 272 of the Constitution, which gives senators the power to appoint the Prime Minister. The parties want the appointment of the Prime Minister to be totally an affair of elected MPs. They also want to remove the article which empowers the Senate to have an oversight of the implementation of reform programs and the national strategy initiated while the military junta was in power. The motions also seek to revise the current electoral system, which they believe is skewed in favor of political parties supported by the military. And it is obvious from their remarks that most MPs, including those in the government camp, are in favor of removing senators' power in appointing the Prime Minister, but they are split on other proposed changes to the Constitution. And the Khao Klai or Move Forward Party has been most adamant about introducing sweeping changes to the Charter. Its leader, Pitha Limcharanat, today again insisted that even Section 1 or 2 of the Constitution should not be immune to changes. Most political parties, especially those in the ruling coalition, have made known their stand that they would not touch the 2 sections which deal with nationhood and the monarchy. By not amending Sections 1 and 2 of the Constitution, you are quashing the dream of the people, Pitha said during the debate in the House. He did not elaborate, but what he said is seen by many as echoing the so-called people's dream cited by anti-government protesters who are demanding a reform of the monarchy.
And so far, the Khao Klai party seems to be the party which is quite obvious in terms of its points in relation to monarchy. Pitha's view was reinforced by Rangsiman Rome, an MP of Khao Klai party, who demanded what he described as a new deal through a new constitution, which would ensure that the monarchy will be truly under the constitution. Rangsiman raised the question about the present role of the monarchy. His tone was very much similar to what was heard during anti-government rallies in recent weeks. Rangsiman was interrupted several times by government MPs who noted that he was violating a house rule that prohibits legislators from discussing about the monarchy in the chamber. Senate President Phonphet Vichitcholachai, who chaired the session, also intervened to warn Rangsiman that he was discussing was not something appropriate to be raised in the chamber. You may well do so in classroom or during a lecture, but not in such venue, Phonphet said. It was unprecedented that the issue of monarchy was discussed in such manner in a House debate. So that probably was the first time, Kun Thepchai, that monarchy was discussed in the House debate. And that was quite obvious that it was the stance of Gao Klai party so far that they would like to support the demand by the protesters as well.
And Kun Rangsiman was quite aggressive in his debate, trying to raise a number of issues about the monarchy. And if he wasn't interrupted, then he would have gone a lot further. And the president of the Senate to chair the session had to warn him at least twice that he had to watch his words, and saying that what Rangsiman Rome was saying was something that's supposed to be talked about somewhere else, not in the chamber. And now let's go back live to the chamber and to find out how the legislators have come to a decision. So the question now is how they will decide on the process from this point on. The debate after 2 days has finished officially, so no more debate on this issue. But the point is whether they will go ahead with the planned vote on the 6 motions.
เป็นรัฐธรรมนูญที่ประชาชนจับต้องได้ประชาชนมีความพึงพอใจว่าประชาชนมีส่วนร่วมประชาชนมีความพึงพอใจว่าประชาชนกินได้ท่านประธานครับการพิจารณาในวันนี้เหมือนเพื่อนสมาชิกในรัฐสภานี้บอกว่าเป็นชั้นรับหลักการและเพียงแก้ไขมาตรา256และเพิ่มเติมหมวด15/1ให้มีการจัดตั้งสสรมายกร่างเท่านั้นไม่มีรายละเอียดอะไรเลยในหลักการเลยครับ
Okay, so all right, one of the points raised by those who do not want to see the vote go ahead is that the motions debated during the past 2 days do not provide enough details or essential details for them to help them make a decision. But of course, there is counter-argument from the opposition parties that, judging from the way that MPs and senators debated, they had a feeling that they truly understand what the essence of the motions is about. So the argument that they don't still have full understanding of the emotion is simply not credible.
Yeah, but that is probably parliamentary mechanism to try to pave the way to seek more time for the MPs and senators in order to prolong the demand or pressing to amend the constitution.
So the first option that the parliament have is to go ahead with the vote. They have 6 motions to vote on, and each has to be voted individually. So the process will take up to 5 hours and should be ending by midnight. And if all the motions or if some of the motions are passed, then they will set up a House committee to deliberate, to scrutinize the motions, to decide whether or not these motions can be merged together or would have to be sort of debated on again separately. So that is the original plan, according to what many people expected. But now the new option has come up is for the parliament to instead set up a House committee, a joint House committee among the representatives of the government, opposition and Senate, and taking up to a month to study the details of these 6 motions before coming back for the House to vote on. So I think it's interesting to find out what the reaction of those protesters outside the parliament is, right?
Yes, so we'll try to get to talk to Kun Kittipat Chun Sukjit. Right now he is at the parliament and have been talking to some protesters outside the parliament. Kun Kittipat, what more can you tell us what's really happening right there?
Good evening, Dr. Thepchai and Kunatha. Right now, many people flock into the area in front of the government house. I can say that the darker, the more crowded. This protest has been organized by 2 groups called Free People and Democracy Restoration Group. It is to against the government of Prime Minister Yujan Ocha. as well as voicing desire for reforms to the monarchy. The aim of the rally is to protest on charter amendment that neglects to reform provisions on the monarchy's powers and to force the senators to vote against administrative use. While members of parliament are discussing constitutional reforms, members of Thailand's parliament and senators are due to vote on 6 constitutional amendment motions proposed by both the government and opposition. At the beginning of the rally, there was the painting of Rasadon flag in front of the government house at the main stage. And the protester also tied a big white ribbon in front of the gate, at the gate of the government house, to be a symbolic signature of this protest. Beside the 2 core groups that organized this demonstration, there are the groups that also participate in this rally and provide some facilities to the protesters. And also many red shirts also come to join this rally. And I can say that red shirts come here at the very beginning of the protest around 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. The rally today is a consequence from the demonstration on Sunday after the big surprise that Mr. Farid Chiwarak, one of the core leaders of the protest, lead the march to Privy Council's office and hand over the 10-point manifesto on monarchy reform to the King's advisors. This is the 4th big demonstration after the protest on August the 10th, August the 16th, September 19 and 20, and today is the 4th big demonstration. The protest today is organized under the hashtag of หยุดอำนาจนอกระบบ หยุดอำนาจนอกระบบประชาธิปไตย or stop any undemocratic power, and another hashtag is ไล่สภาไปสภาไล่ศักดินา or protest against the elite. And this hashtag is now very viral in the social media like Twitter, and this is the normal, this is the situation right now ครับคุณเทพชัยคุณนัทธา
very much, Kun Kitipat, for your report outside the parliament, and we could see the sentiment of protesters, what their aim are in order to press the parliament to listen to them.
Yeah. So these protesters are for amending of the constitution. But yesterday, another group of people who are opposed to all the attempts to amend the constitution also made their presence felt in front of the parliament. So this group is the self-proclaimed royalist group known as Thai Pakdi, who visited the parliament yesterday to submit a petition to oppose the attempts to amend the constitution. The petition was accompanied by a list of 130,000 signatures of people who are against the motions amending the constitution, which were debated in the House in the past 2 days. And Thai Pakdi leader Kun Varong Detkit Vikram, a veteran politician and a former MP, said the current constitution was approved by as many as 16 million people in a referendum in 2017. So the view of the people should be respected.
And besides, he said the process of amending the constitution would also require a referendum, which would cost taxpayer as much as 15 billion baht.
So that's another caveat, that any constitution amendment, we have to go through a referendum, which will be another time-consuming process. So all in all, if, say, all the motions or some of the motions pass through and then are adopted, and finally the constitution gets to be amended, the whole process has been estimated to take up to close to 1 year and a half or 2, or even 2. So that's something that will be very time-consuming.
Yeah, so it's like 2 scenarios in parallel. The debate in the parliament, they are trying to see whether they will set up special committee or just pursue the scenario that they will have to count the vote, whether they will support amending constitution. And another scenario is outside the parliament, as the protester would like to push forward with their demand to call for amending the constitution. And we will keep you updated
Definitely.
on this amending constitution demand. And right now, let's get you updated with other stories. So just follow this, just so you know.
Okay.
ได้พูดถึงการปฏิรูประบบ
Recorded 2 new cases of COVID-19 today. Both of them are returnees from the United States and are now under state quarantine. The new cases raised the total number of infections to 3,516, with 8 new recoveries and no new fatalities. The Phuket Provincial Land Office has clarified that Sipanwa Resort does not encroach on state land, but it is located on legally owned private land. The Provincial Land Office started investigating the resort's title deeds after netizens asked if the resort had been legally built. This came after the owner of the resort criticized one of the pro-democracy leaders on social media, causing widespread backlash and an online campaign to boycott the resort. The Ministry of Digital Economy and Society filed a report to the Technology Crime Suppression Division to take legal action against users posting messages to offend the monarchy during the Sanam Luang demonstrations. The minister said 5 social media accounts, including well-known political activists, have breached the Computer Crime Act for causing harm to the nation's stability, which is punishable up to 5 years in jail and or a fine up to 100,000 baht. The Bank of Thailand reduced its GDP growth forecast for 2021 from 5% to 3.6% as the coronavirus pandemic continues to affect international travel. It has also revised its forecast for the number of foreign arrivals next year from 16.2 million to 9 million visitors. Previously, the central bank has warned that the tourism industry would face greater risks next year if the government continued to restrict foreign travelers from entering the country.
So tension in Thailand is quite obvious, especially in terms of politics, as you could see that the debate is now going on in the parliament, whether the senators and MPs will be voting for amending constitution. But with all the political scene, Thailand right now is facing economic downturn because of COVID-19, and the political situation doesn't really help. And what's in the eye in terms of assessment of foreign investor and foreign business people community in Thailand right now, we have Kun Stanley Kang, chairman of Joint Foreign Chambers of Commerce in Thailand, JFCCT, joining us live in the studio. Good evening.
Glad to have you back again. Stanley, I'm sure that you must have been following the political developments in Thailand quite closely, especially the protests by students. So as a businessman and as a representatives of the foreign chambers of commerce, what are worrying you the most now?
I think that Thailand is a democratic country. So to have protests is quite normal compared with overall a lot of countries. You can see that. But only thing, the thing only we're worried is that if they are out of control, right? So I think to voice out whatever different opinion, that would be good. And I think this time we see the very well organized too. The police and the chief commander of all the national security are taking care of the event quite well. So far we are still confident, but we are still monitoring that what's going to happen. Of course, we do receive the call from all the headquarters and different places ask us what's wrong or what's happened here.
What do you tell them?
I told them that we go through many things, and then like in the past we go to the red shirt, the yellow shirt. We have a lot of protesting in Thailand, and then we go to many different kind of period. And I think this time of period we all learn from the past, so we should have all the experience how to handle it.
So for you, I mean, for the time being, you still haven't seen any signs that things will get out of control, right?
Yes, I think that the government side or the protesting side, they are all doing well so far, so well.
And what about the sentiment in terms of doing business in Thailand right now among foreign business community?
Of course, the challenges from COVID are still coming, right? And we all know that even though we protect quite well, but our neighboring country thinks that that's coming second wave or many other places. So this problem haven't solved yet, and then we have something coming up in the politics in Thailand. So many people a little be worried, right? Because right now, in fact, should we put more energy or more power to solve the problem of COVID? And then a lot of our people here are in the challenging, and then should we find a better solution for them? Or we have to get involved, get into another the challenging on the political side. So too nervous a little bit. I hope that everything will go fine. But if you ask deeply that how we feel, it's very challenging period already. If you add another issue, that will be even more complicated.
So you have never come across a situation like this before? No?
Yeah, of course, because COVID-19 is not just happening in one place. Things that they start from one place, but right now it's a problem for a global problem. And then we don't even can't find a solution right now yet. And then think this problem will be quite a period of time, and not just we will not just get rid of it by this year, and we have to find a lot of new normal, right? So why we don't put more energy on finding out that how we're going to change and ourselves and adapt to the current situation, rather than just complain.
You had a series of meetings with the representative from the government, especially on long-term visa for foreign business community. How do you see that this is quite urgent at this very juncture of COVID-19?
Yes, due to the COVID-19, of course, the impact to the people travel because of safetyness, right? And then we can see that Thailand, even though that at the beginning we think that we will fall into a big problem, but today we look at the result that we are quite well management on our fighting with the COVID, how we manage and control it. But of course, in another hand, well, Thailand, we are one of the major income will be our tourism, right? Since February until now, right? A lot of my friends in the tourist business, they have no business for 7 months already. And the most important thing is that from now you look at for future, they still don't know when this problem going to get a refund. So how long they're going to deal with it? Things that will be quite challenging for them. And Thailand, we based on a lot of income from this one. It's not just on certain cluster. There is a quite big income, like all the tourism or aviation and business traveling. It's not just for tourists. Yes, tourists, we lost all our income, and how we do help all these SME who are serving in the tourism business. At the same time, if we continue like this, how about our mines industry, how we going to do it?
That's true.
And Thailand are also one of the major countries for exporting. And how we continue our business. There's something new there. We got to find a solution of.
The Prime Minister Prayut said he will be reaching out to business community to get their ideas and cooperation in facing the impact from the pandemic, right? I'm sure that either the Prime Minister himself or his people must have talked to yourself or your colleagues in the Chamber of Commerce. So what have come out of the talks with the government so far?
I think that we know that we got to find a good solution. So we have the recommendation that how to open the border with the safetyness, right? Of course, these kind of things, you have to deal with a lot of education too, right? And I believe the voice in the public, there will be two parts. One part, they want to open 50%, maybe 50%. Another 50% is nothing to do with me. For my safety, why you have to open it? So a lot of things got to find out the new SOP, how to tell people that we can manage it. And I think we should not keep those kind of closed border. Closed border will be very challenging. But how to open it up with the right SOP and the way we can have management and we can handle it. And that's the thing that we are looking for. I think not just Thailand, our neighboring country, right? Or even many other countries in the world, they are also trying to find a solution before we can get the vaccine and then make sure that we can get rid of the virus. But before we get rid of virus, how can we survive? And what will be the solution? And we got to sit down brainstorming and then educate and exchange view and make sure that everybody can work together to make sure that we can survive with safety.
You were in Thailand for a long time. You must have known the culture and the way lifestyle of Thai people, in which we rely so much on tourism. But COVID-19 is like turning point. But what's the solution that you can see in your perspective that probably Thailand should change the structure of the whole economy, not to rely too much on tourism? But what would be solution?
I think Thailand is a good time that I see some movement there. This year, according to our data, our GDP at least probably will be minus 10%, 10 to 11%. We still have quarter four. I hope that things can get better. Right? But currently, our focus still will be GDP of minus around 10%, right? And then we see that a lot of people, they come into the city and get a job. But we can see that during the COVID pandemic, right now a lot of people, they start moving back to their hometown. So I personally, I believe there's another opportunity, right? So in the past, we are going to aging society where too many young people, working force are moving to the urban area. Around they are back to up country. And during this period, how can they help their own land? When they go back, what can they make a change there? So personally now, I believe that the most challenging place is not in the upper country, will be in the Bangkok area, because we will have a lot of people move out, and then we have a lot of facilities here, and people cannot come in. So I and my team, we try to propose the best solution that how we open up for the traveling. Because if I know that for the safety, we have to keep 14 days of quarantine. But if you keep 14 days of quarantine, in fact, that people will not really traveling, either MICE or tourism or many other things, right? So we got to find out a good solution. But things will be changed, right? Technology will changing, people's behavior will be changing, and then new way of life will change a lot of things there. So I believe in changing. So principally, I believe we got to sit down and think about it, how we make ourselves change to adopt the new era, the new normal, and then we can survive.
The government is coming up with this so-called special visa program to encourage visitors to come to Thailand, permitting them to stay up to 270 days, of course, under very strict public health safety measures, right? So do you think this plan will be enough to attract tourists?
I can only say that it's good to try. Right? At least we got to try something to find out that I believe that a lot of people want to come to Thailand. Right? So there's different type of people. So right now, if we feel that this is one of the way, we think that we are happy to bring these people come, and then we should try. But at the same time, I do talk to the government. I talked to one of the minister, right? Say that we still have about 400,000 of the tourist people are here, but since that their visa are going to finish on the 26th, on the Saturday, and so far we haven't heard that they're going to extension their visa. So you know that we have a lot of regulation law, and it's really make it complicated for the foreign aspect to stay in Thailand currently. So we need to speed up and to still talk to the government and a lot of how to extending their visa to make they can be happy to stay here. You know, in the hand that we try to open the door to bring some more tourists to come to Thailand to spend money to bring us income. At the same time, we have a lot of regulation, try to block the people to stay here, try to push them out. Okay. So it's funny, but
irony in a way.
Yes, but I understand, but that we still have to tell the truth, and then people know what's happened.
Well, since we are on the topic of tourism, as you know, the tourism ministry has come up with this program to encourage expats, which we have about 1.2 million expats in Thailand, right?
Yes.
And the plan is to encourage them to travel domestically.
Yes.
So is it working? You know a lot of expats here, right?
Yes,
Are they taking up this incentive package?
Yeah, I think that they should promote more, because I think this cool aspect, they are staying here, they have money. And in the past, whenever they have holiday, they just fly out, right? So they take this time to see more about Thailand. I think that they are the best ambassador for our tourism. Because today, you know, everybody, you are become a cell media. Everybody have mobile phone, everybody have Facebook. They go to discovery the new place,
Yes, right.
and then take photo. They send out, all the community will see. Maybe in the near future, within another 1 year, 2 year, when people coming back to Thailand, they are not just go to Chiang Mai, Hua Hin, Phuket. Maybe they found out many other beautiful place or location in Thailand that they should go to visit.
And as far as you know, that your friends travel enough right now in Thailand, those foreign business expats in Thailand?
Oh, they're traveling. Like a lot of my friends, they say that they drive all the way from Bangkok down to Phuket.
Wow.
No, because that they say because some people still don't want to take the airplane, so they drive down there, right? It's beautiful. And you know, Thailand is a lot of facility, and right now is a good chance and then good promotion. So I always told my people, say that there's many beautiful places in Thailand. We should take this time to go traveling around. You know, that day I have to tease them, but arrange a trip for us just in Bangkok. No? We go to see three of the famous temples, like Wat Ban, Wat Lun, and then our Grand Palace. You know that in the past I never seem to go to these three places because I always feel like if I go there, there's so many crowd of people,
right,
tourists.
yeah.
I think in the early morning when we go to Wat Ban, you know, when I go in there, it's only our group.
Wow.
We can enjoy. It's so beautiful. That's a beautiful temple.
Very
like
beautiful,
in the
yes,
past, we can have this environment to take time and slowly enjoy there. And like in the past, daily visitor to the Grand Palace about 50,000 people.
Wow.
Right now it's less than 500. So I always told my foreign expat friend that take the time. Not just in the Dangjiang Wat. You can also go into the Bangkok. There's a lot of beautiful place. We should go and take a look and then acknowledge the cultural tour. It's very good in Thailand right now.
You're now acting like an ambassador for Thai tourism now.
But I think the good thing for Thailand, there's a lot of things that we should go and take a look.
That's right.
Stanley, and politically, you must be following the news about protests by young generation of Thailand. How do you come across of their demand? What's your take?
I think that it's good that they voice out. But at the same time, I always told the young people, you have to provide solution, right? And sometimes nothing will be perfect, right? So things will be always change. So to voice out and to keep a good solution and find a good way to communicate. My personally have always a slogan in my life. I say the quality of your life is the quality of your communication. So protesting is a way of voice out, but there's many other ways. So I told her I love the young people. But I always say that we talk. Right? Idea sharing. There's no one right or wrong. That's right. But I told the young people that one thing that it's not just ask what you want, and you have to see that what's the best for the nation, what's the best for the country. Right? That will be I more hope that they will think this way.
No, where you are from, that is Taiwan, right? So
Yes.
I'm sure that young people there are no less vocal about politics than in Thailand. So I think they must be also quite active.
They are very active.
So how do you see the difference between the young people here in Thailand as far as politics is concerned?
I think young people everywhere right now there's no difference, right? So because right now, in the past, I think that our education system was sitting in a class and the teacher told us what should we learn.
Yeah.
Right now, all these young people they are self-learning, right? They have a lot of access of information, right? But of course, there's also a lot of information is not correct on the social media. So I'm more thinking that all these young people right now, they have more freedom than us, and they have more opportunity than us. So I always told them that you have to cherish. The more you have in hand, the more you have to learn how to cherish it. And only you know how to take care your responsibility and your right, and then you can really contribute to the society and the people.
Yeah.
And with the political tension in Thailand, the rumor is around that probably the coup could happen again. And you've been in Thailand for quite some time. If it really happened, how will it damage Thai society or Thai economy?
Oh, we have many discount events in the past, but as I stay here, I have to go through over 20 already, right? So it's another model, but you need to have a very good reason to do that. I think that in the past we have many different kind of military power get involved, and to make sure that the nation are stable, right? There's a good part, there's a challenging part, and I think that the current leader, like our Prime Minister, he has been in a position for a while, and I still believe that he had the wisdom to solve this problem. It's
Thank
challenging,
you.
but nothing easy.
Yes, it's very tough situation for Thailand at the moment. Thank you very much for your view.
And for your information, the Parliament is still debating on on how they should handle the 6 motions seeking the constitutional amendment. The debate has finished, right? But they still have not been able to agree on how to deal with the aftermath of the debate, because according to what was agreed earlier, they would vote on these 6 motions tonight. But now there has been a proposal for the voting on the motion to be postponed, and instead to have a joint House committee to be set up to study the motions for another month before getting it back into the House for a vote. So this will not go down well with the protesters outside the Parliament.
Personally, I think that this constitution took a quite long time to be there, right? And nothing will be perfect. It's good to them to voice out to see that if any possibility to change. And I also heard that the Prime Minister also said that he will listen to a voice and to see that if there's any necessity to make amendment, that they are willing to do so. So we need to go through the process.
That's true.
So as long as we have the law and order, everybody can communicate in a peace way, and then we are always supported.
Many people said that amending the constitution, even though people have different views on that, should be a forum for people with different ideas and views to get together and come up with a common stand on what is good for Thailand's future, right?
Yeah, why not? I think go to a more wider brainstorming, and then you can get up more good pieces of work there. And I think that will be good for the society and good for everybody.
All right.
So you can be with us and stay updated with what's going on in the Parliament.
Yes, thank you.
And that's all. That's the view from Joint Foreign Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Stanley Kang, on his reflection on politics and economy in Thailand. And that brings us to the end of Thai PBS World Edition for tonight. But please stay updated with our Thai version. Than Lok will be back at 8 o'clock. So bye for now. Thank you for watching.